Step into the deeply personal world of Changing Eyes, the award-winning memoir by Leanne and. This powerful story invites readers to witness the heart-wrenching, beautiful, and transformative journey of a mother and her son, a journey that moves through innocence, rebellion, heartbreak, and the enduring strength of love. At the center of the story is Trey, a boy whose eyes, described as the color of cognac, once radiated warmth, intelligence, and curiosity. In those eyes, his mother saw everything: a tender soul, a spark of mischief, and a deep connection to the world around him. From a young age, Trey had a presence that drew people in. He was sweet and sensitive, bright and creative. He loved building forts in the backyard, climbing trees like a boy on an adventure, and using his vivid imagination to create a life full of wonder. He was the kind of child who made the world feel lighter just by being in it. But as the years passed, the light in Trey's eyes began to dim. In Changing Eyes, Leanne and takes us through the gradual and painful shift that happened in her son's life. How the joyful, imaginative boy she once knew began to disappear behind the clouds of adolescence, rebellion, and ultimately, addiction. Influenced by the sounds and spirit of the grunge era, Trey became drawn to a world that felt raw and real, but also dangerous. Music became his escape, and eventually so did heroin. This is not a book filled with easy answers or neatly tied endings. Instead, it is a courageous and brutally honest account of what it means to love someone deeply, even as they slip further and further away from the life they were meant to live. Leanne writes with the kind of clarity and emotional honesty that only comes from having lived through the unimaginable. She doesn't flinch from the pain. She doesn't sugarcoat the struggle. What she offers is truth, raw, powerful, and deeply human. Through Leanne's eyes, we see Trey not just as a son lost to addiction, but as a whole person, a boy who was artistic, witty, compassionate, and clever. A young man with a brilliant mind, a sweet sense of humor, and a spirit that refused to be boxed in. Even in his darkest hours, Trey's essence was never completely gone. Leanne saw it, sometimes in fleeting moments, in rare smiles, in quiet conversations, or in a glance that momentarily revealed the boy he used to be. These glimpses were enough to keep her hope alive, even as the disease of addiction threatened to consume him. Changing Eyes is about those moments, the small, intimate pieces of a story that outsiders rarely get to see. It's about the ache of waiting for the phone to ring. It's about the relief and fear that flood your heart when it does. It's about the nights spent lying awake, wondering where your child is, and the deep sorrow of knowing you can't save them, no matter how hard you try. But more than anything, this book is about love. A mother's love, fierce, relentless, and unwavering, even when tested beyond its limits. Leanne and writing style is both lyrical and grounded. Her voice is that of a mother, a witness, and a storyteller who has chosen to share her most vulnerable truth. She brings readers into her world with vivid detail, emotional precision, and an authenticity that resonates. As we follow her journey, we are reminded that addiction doesn't just affect one person. It ripples outward, changing everything it touches: families, relationships, futures. And yet, through all of that, love can remain. That's what makes this memoir not just heartbreaking, but also healing. Trey's story is tragically not unique. Across the world, thousands of families have walked similar roads. But what makes Changing Eyes so powerful is that Leanne refuses to let Trey be reduced to a statistic. She insists that we see him, all of him, his brilliance, his humor, his struggles, his strength, and his humanity. She invites us to grieve with her, but also to remember. To remember the little boy in the tree, the teenager with headphones and a sketch pad, the man who fought battles few ever saw. She gives us not only a story of loss, but a portrait of a life worth knowing. In 2022, Changing Eyes received the PennCrafts Award for Best Nonfiction Literary Excellence, a recognition that speaks not only to the strength of Leanne's writing, but also to the importance of the story she tells. It is a story that resonates with parents, siblings, friends, and anyone who has ever loved someone through difficulty. It's a story that asks us to look beyond judgment and fear, and instead choose understanding, empathy, and compassion. Changing Eyes is more than a memoir. It is a mirror, reflecting the complexities of love, the cost of addiction, and the resilience required to keep going when your heart is breaking. It is a call to see each other more clearly, to value the fragile beauty of our connections, and to never forget the person beneath the struggle.